Hello, it's Aimee, and in this video, I'll be showing you my November Bujo setup. I had a hard time thinking of a simple theme for this month. I started thinking to myself of things that I love about autumn, and fall weather always reminds me of bundling yourself up with warm, cozy blankets and sweater weather. Thus came the idea of a teddy bear wrapping themselves in a scarf. Keeping things as simple as possible, I lined out my sketch with varied brown micron pens. Unlike my other themes, I don't have a reason as to why I decided on this idea other than it reminds me of fall. Using my Tombow brush pens, I begin with using the pink to fill in the ears and cheeks. With the brown, I colored in the bear in circular motions to create a fuzzy effect on it. The outline blended in with the color I used for the bear, so I made sure to go back in and added some shading later. I tried to pick out a color that would complement the bear the best and decided to use blue for the scarf. After that, I filled in the sign lettering with earthy colors. The background was too bland for my liking, so I wanted to stamp in a few leaves to fill it in. I used my Tombow brush pens to apply some ink on the stamps. Doing it this way won't get a nice crisp image on the page compared to using actual stamp ink, but what I like about this method is the texture it can add to the image. I didn't want to use a deep color for the leaves, but I also messed up on using too light of a color for the first leaf. I wiped off some of the ink from the stamp to make sure that I don't accidentally color the bear with it. I went back in with a blending marker to fill in the areas the color didn't reach and darken the leaf that didn't show up well with a more vibrant yellow. With this very simple and cute cover page finished, we move on to the calendar. I wanted the calendar to be on its own page this time, and I thought of making a patterned blanket to fill that space. I used a pastel green color to outline it and added little frayed edges on the side. Using the brush tip side first, I filled in a line of color and skipped a couple of lines after to start making the plaid pattern. I did the same vertically after finishing it horizontally, and then went back in with a fine tip to add a line on each of the thick strokes. I repeated the same method for my notes section using a pastel yellow. I started to brush letter in the days of the week on top and realized that I started with the wrong day. I added some leftover scrap paper that I kept from cutting out sections of my journal to cover up my mistake and resumed writing in the days of the week, starting with the correct day. This is an easy method for covering up large mistakes rather than having to use a white gel pen and making a mess of things. For my next spreads, I wanted to keep it somewhat condensed. On the left page, I'll have my menu section, and on the top will be my habit tracker. I already cut out a section for the weeklies and made what looks like a tiny book for it. For the empty space on the right, I sketched out something similar to my cover page, but within a pile of leaves. I decided to sketch it out on a separate piece of scrap paper so that I can add some background details on the right side and then paste the doodle on top of it later. Using the same colors from my calendar, I start to fill in my trackers. Another good reason to have scrap paper on hand is so that when I color, the page next to it won't be affected by any overfilling that I do. I couldn't finish this theme up without bringing the bear back, and what makes fall so great. Other than it being the time of the year when the weather starts to cool down from the hot summer days, I love it when the leaves start to change their colors. Growing up, I didn't experience the seasons at all. It was either hot or cold, and that's it. Where I live now, I experience each one of them. Even if it's a pain to clean up afterwards, the sights of the varied greens, oranges, reds, and yellows are worth it. Before cutting out the drawing and pasting it down, I went back in with my stamps to cover up the blank space. I finish up my spreads with filling in the trackers and writing down the days of the week. Another spread down to almost finish off this year. There's nothing particularly meaningful to say for this theme, and it was just something that I wanted to draw to fill up the time that's left. At the very least, I hope it can be a setup that you can draw inspiration from for yourself. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and for those who don't, I still wish you an amazing day full of love and things to be grateful for. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourself, and bye for now.